Opinions of the hosts and guests are their own and do not necessarily reflect the position of the management and staff of Guardian Network.
This morning, and welcome back to Guardian Radio 96.9 FM, your station for fresh news, smart talk, all day. It is Tuesday, the 20th of July, 2021, and you are on the clock with Erin Greene. On the clock, we engage organizations, institutions, social and cultural leaders, and ordinary people to better understand the impact of public policy, private sector development, and emerging social and consumer trends. On the clock, we have conversations that help us understand and navigate a rapidly changing Bahamas. Today's show is brought to you by the Department of Inland Revenue. And as we start the show, I have a brief message about the Family Island Development Act. Under the Family Island Development Act, any resident, prospective resident, or business owner on Andros or in Southern Islands of the Bahamas, 18 years and older, can apply at mygateway.gov.bs for exemptions on any of the following items purchased locally or internationally: building materials, plumbing fixtures and materials, electrical fixtures and materials, household fixtures, furnishings and appliances, hardware supplies, commercial equipment, and related fittings, IT hardware and software, excluding cell phones, tablets, or personal digital assistants, and solar panels and related equipment and fittings, business license, and real property tax. This message is brought to you by the Ministry of Finance. Well, good morning. This morning, I have sad news. I went into my yard today. I looked up at the mango tree, and there are only 3 mangoes left on the tree. Dear Bahamians, this means our mango season is coming to an end. Now, for some of you out there, you don't understand the pain in my heart because you have what we call late season mangoes, right? Or maybe you in Elutra or Abaco, and your mangoes start getting ripe later than Nassau mangoes. So you may not be feeling the pain that I am feeling in my heart, but take this as a warning. It is time to prepare. Prepare your heart for the sadness of no fresh mango in the morning, in the afternoon, and in the evening. Prepare yourself for the frustration that you can't send your children in the yard and tell them, eat 15 mango and call me in 3 hours if you're hungry again. This is a real joy for many parents. But most of all, it is time to start preparing. If you love mango, like I love mango, you're going to need mango in December. You're going to need mango in March. So what you going to do? Start prepping, processing, and freezing your mango and storing it. For smoothies, for purees, for concentrates, for jam, cooking sauces, maybe even for little industry. Because we have a lot of professional pastry chefs and cooks who would love to be able to purchase local mango puree or concentrate out of season. And if you like me, my product costs more in the off season than it does in season, because that is a capitalist market or principle that could work in our market. So don't let this mango season pass you by like last year's season. Store up on your mango. And as I'm saying that, who painted parking lines in front of the Junkanoo Beach police station? First of all, I am impressed that you knew if you were going to park your car there on the sidewalk, it needed to have proper parking lines. But please, can we find somewhere else? Are there any businesses or corporations in the area that will provide secure parking space for the Junkanoo Beach Police Station? Also, don't forget, there are roadworks. They're still grading Bay Street in between the Hilton and Nassau Street. This is very problematic. Stay off of that part of Bay Street if you can, please. Also, if you looked at today's Guardian, trust me, the front page is a plethora of stories. That's like when you go out to your Gneb tree and all you could see is Gneb. That's a plethora, right? It's lone stories that I think are very important for us to pay attention to, not just the headlines, but get into the story and see what they're saying. For instance, the CPSA, that's the Consulting Physicians Staff Association, their vice president, Mr. John Dillard, yesterday said the government's number one priority needs to be fighting the COVID-19 pandemic. So on behalf of CPSA, let's just say that the number one priority needs to be saving lives and beating this pandemic. I just want to say, if you go on into that article, the Consulting Physicians Staff Association has been saying what I've been saying for a year now. Why haven't we focused on upgrading and enhancing our health care system? Why haven't we focused on ensuring that we have sufficient staff, qualified, trained, and experienced nurses and doctors for a functioning healthcare system from before the pandemic and now in the midst of the pandemic? The CPSA also goes on to point out that it's troubling that campaign activities are being prioritized. They didn't say it quite like that. I saying it like that, right? What they said, they were very polite and very professional. And they said that, maybe we could, if we have a couple things we prioritizing, but maybe we could prioritize the thing that really need prioritizing. Which leads to the top story in the paper. A rush to register. Scores of Bahamians raced to parliamentary registration department. Of course, this is after, I think, reckless statements, right? And reckless actions, which are the lack of clear statements by all political figures. Why would you suggest or give people the impression or allow people to exist with the impression that there may be an election in the next week? That means that people raced out to get registered because they take the act of voting very seriously and participating in governance very seriously. But what they did was they dramatically and drastically increased their risk of catching COVID and giving it to other people. I mean, this is just absolutely and unnecessarily reckless. And it makes me wonder, are we still in the business of prioritizing politics over governance, even in the midst of a pandemic? Well, I got two texts here. I'm going to read these texts. And then I got a guest in studio today. I told you yesterday that I'm going to have a political advocate on the show to put on the table the question, is the Bahamas an independent nation? And that's Mr. Chelly Moss. So I'm going to read these texts and I'm going to bring Mr. Chelly Moss into the conversation just in case he has something to say, because I think that his question and campaign asks us to interrogate the political culture, right? And the system of politics that we allow to run our country. And so you may want to jump in on some of these issues that are on the front of the paper. So the first text for this morning: Erin, I feel your pain. I cried when I realized my mango tree was empty. Good thing I put some in the freezer. Well, look here, you know who else crying? Raccoons in the bush next to my house are very upset. They didn't expect it to end so quickly. Another text, Miss G, I want to condemn that woman at 9 a.m. for casually running the red light with one child standing in the front seat and one child sitting near the armrest console. Now, the texter says, you are a horrible mother and I condemn police for never being around. If someone hits her and hurts her kids, they know police is... Okay, text, I can't read the rest of this text. We don't know if police has fixed reports. We don't know that. We don't know that. We haven't had a court tell us that. We can't say that on the radio. It's reckless to say that on the radio. It's important to point that out, though. And if you think that police are fixing reports, the worst way to go about it is to make unsubstantiated claims on the radio. What you need is a lawyer. And what you need is a person who is an alleged victim, right, of said corruption. And you need to take this matter to the court. Because if you think it's that serious, then we need to organize, strategize, and realize a solution to the problem. That's what we got to do. But yes, if someone hits her, those children will bear the consequences of her reckless actions. Good yawning, Erin. Go to the head of the class. I just picked the last 6 mangoes off my tree, but don't worry, I have been listening to you from the start. I have stored hundreds of my mangoes and squeezed out the juice and freeze for later, so I'm good. Please be prepared to sell mango to other people who need it too. This is a humanitarian cause. Trust me. Anyway, good morning to my in-studio guest, Mr. Chelly Moss. How are you?
Good morning, Erin. Thank you for having me. It's a pleasure to be on the club. Good morning, Bahamas. It's great to be here.
Absolutely.
It's always good to be at Guardian Radio.
Absolutely. I'm glad to have you here. Now, if you don't know who Mr. Chelly Moss is, right? Mr. Chelly Moss is a filmmaker extraordinaire. And he has led the country with locally produced films, right? What's the name of your first film?
My Old Man.
My Old Man is the name of your first film?
My first film is My Old Man.
I didn't know that. I thought your first film was the other one.
Which one?
The one with the gangsters.
No, man. That came later. My first picture was called My Old Man. It's a family story about this father trying to motivate his son to win the spelling contest, to, do better with his life and win a scholarship and get up out the hood and make something of his life.
But look at, okay.
Yeah.
So where can we find that?
Everything is online. You could go My Old Man 242, Balls Alley 242. You could do Survivor 242. I'm actually in pre-production of a new film right now called Justice for D. You can like this one, Erin. As a matter of fact, I was thinking about you for a role in it.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
All right. Okay, that's awesome. Yeah. But is Survivor part 2 of Balls Alley?
No, Survivor is actually a story about this guy that fell in love with this lady unknowingly that she had a mastectomy. So it's like a breast cancer story.
Yeah. Okay,
so
wow.
That's a good one.
I could imagine it is.
Yeah, he met the girl, they swear like the face.
Yeah.
And he didn't know, and then,
But look here, these are real issues that people are dealing with. Like the question of at what point am I obligated to disclose to you this intimate part of myself, right? Like we in the process of deciding whether we like each other.
Right.
And so maybe at the beginning, but what if I don't like you?
Or even worse, what if I do like you, and now when I tell you, then you're going to go in the other direction.
Right.
So it's always a balance.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Right, so this is a quick hop, step, and a jump to the role I see you now filling in society as a political advocate. Because as far as I'm concerned, the artists, creatives, and cultural stakeholders are at the core of a nation and drive advocacy because you capture the voices and lived experiences of the people.
Well, it's also about storytelling is about humanity, regardless of who you are, what you may be, whatever. We're all on this journey called life.
Right.
You know what I mean? And it takes different types from all walks of life. And we have to try and balance and harmonize how we're going to do this and, live our best lives. So, that's the dynamic, the push-pull going on.
Right. See, the stunned look on my face is I thought that Balls Alley was the first movie, right? And so I think I've always thought of Chelly Moss as this sort of young, rough, because you got to be rough in the islands. That ain't a bad thing. Young, rough Bahamian man who started telling the stories that were closest to him, which are these sort of gangster stories. And as I've watched him, he's matured into a man that is a role model, right, for all young men in the country. But it turns out you started with your a core story, like a heart story.
Yeah, I mean, all stories are core humanity stories if you get right down to it. I mean, even when you watch The Godfather, it's a family story.
Yeah.
So much for the mafia, the family.
Yeah, yeah.
You understand? You have to tell the story. So, and believe it or not, I deliberately made sure that my first movie was a family type oriented movie because I didn't want to get typecast with the gangster stuff.
I got you.
You know what I mean? But even when you watch Balls Alley, it's still a story about a father, trying to decide if he wants to go left or right. And ultimately, should he do the right thing for his son?
Yeah.
So it's all about every story, every movie at heart you're telling a story.
Right.
Like the new one I'm doing now is called Justice for D. It's a powerful Black Lives Matter story. It's a sports drama. But this father who's trying to get justice for his NBA drafted superstar son who was killed by white racist cops.
Yeah. Okay, yeah.
You know what I mean? It's all about you got to tell a story. You got to tell a story. That's how you capture people.
I just want to put a pin in here. I want people to recognize, like, in the month of May, we did a lot of conversations around men's health. Mm-hmm. And I wanted to create a space and a platform for men to talk about men's issues. Mm-hmm. And a lot of younger men feel like women in particular in society are not prepared to even acknowledge, let alone talk about, the issues that young men and men generally have. But I want to point out, here is a man using his space and his power to tell stories about men and that are important for men and about their relationships with their family and their communities.
Yeah, because, ultimately that's the driving force why people do things.
Yeah.
Even if you go and you see somebody steal, that might be a person going or they're trying to feed their family. So you might be looking at the call, they just stole from somebody, but they probably trying to feed somebody. And, even when you look at the Balls Alley story, the Balls Alley story isn't glorifying violence or selling drugs.
Yeah.
It's basically saying to people who in that life, you could stop right now. Whatever you've done in the past, if the police didn't catch you, you could walk away right now. But obviously, if you continue going down that path, it's only two ways for the most it's going to end. Whatever you've done, if the police didn't catch you, you could stop right now and just go in a totally different direction. And that was kind of like the ultimate story, it was telling because, the only way to stop crime is to stop crime. If whatever you've done, just stop it. Move on, go in a different direction.
Like root it out of your heart.
But even if you ain't root out your heart, don't do it no more. Just go in a different direction.
Yeah, keep pushing.
Because, evil in some way, shape, or form is going to be there. The temptation for money, that's always going to be there. But whatever you've done, you know what I mean? You could stop it right now. You saw 50% of crimes right now. If everybody just stop it, just go in a different direction. You know what I mean? It's like if you weren't doing well in school because you weren't studying or you weren't doing, just stop that and just go in a different direction.
Right, and you'll start seeing an improvement.
It's like they say, if you're in a ditch, all right, you're digging your way in a ditch, just stop digging.
Yeah.
Just stop digging,
All right. So let's get to this political question. Is the Bahamas independent? Now, give me an answer.
Well, the first thing you have to do is you have to look at the word independent.
Okay.
Because that's the answer, right? It's irrelevant what Jelly Moss thinks.
Independence.
Right. So, but the root word is independent.
Yeah.
Right? So if you look up the word independent, the word independence defined as free from outside control or authority. Mm-hmm. Free from outside control or authority. So if within your constitution, your supreme law of the land, Article 71, it says the executive authority of the Bahamas is vested 100% in Her Majesty and none the Bahamian people, that means you're not independent. And that's it right there.
Listen, first of all, the Queen is my cousin.
Right.
True Turks Island.
Mine too.
True Turks Island?
No, not Turks Island.
Fancy. Anyway, so for a second, I feel obliged to defend the Queen's position. I don't care if you're all independent or not. Uh-huh. I don't care. These are my things. All of it is mine.
Well, listen, the reality is hundreds of years ago, the British Empire controlled over a third of the planet. What they say, the sun never sets on the British Empire.
Right.
You understand? So it's literally her things. But still, going back to the word independent, it's free from outside control or authority.
Yeah.
All right. So if within your supreme law constitution, it says the authority belongs to someone else and it ain't you, that means just based on that definition alone, you're not an independent country.
Now, where you find the definition, you using?
Just Google it.
No, I mean in where the provisions that you are using to show that the authority is not invested in us.
Article 71.
Okay.
Article 71. Not only that, that's further corroborated by when you go to Article 63. It says, no local government person in House of Assembly could pass any law. Listen, all of our MPs in Parliament, they're what you call a local government. See, you have to understand the structure. Remember from history class, you had the British government, they'd send a white British governor to govern their colonies, right?
Yeah.
And they took care of day-to-day operations, all right? Well, nothing's changed. We still have a governor. Mm-hmm. All it is now, instead of taking care of day-to-day operation, they just delegate those to the locals to make them feel empowered. That's why, okay, you take care of day-to-day governance. It's no different than having local government on one of the family islands for the most part. They take care of local government, and if there's a law or anything to pass, you bring it to the central government, and we make those decisions.
Absolutely.
So nobody in Parliament can pass no law unless Her Majesty signs off on it. Like little children, they try and make you think, oh, that's only a formality. That ain't no true. That's what that piece of paper say.
Yeah, that's what it says.
That's what it says.
So I'm going to read quickly 771. Subsection 1, and this is Article 71 of the Constitution of the Bahamas, right? And Article 71 is in Chapter 4, titled The Executive. Subsection 1 says, the executive authority of the Bahamas is vested in Her Majesty. Subsection 2, subject to the provisions of this Constitution, the executive authority of the Bahamas may be exercised on behalf of Her Majesty by the Governor General, either directly or through officers subordinate to him. Subsection 3, nothing in this article shall prevent Parliament from conferring functions on persons or authorities other than the Governor General. So let's pause right there. To my listening audience, do you agree with what you just read in your own Constitution? Do you agree with the position laid out by Chelly Moss? The Bahamas is not an independent nation. If you do or do not, call and join the conversation at 323-6232 or 325-4316 or 325-4259. You can also text us at GR96424796. Okay, I mean, that clearly says it. The executive authority of the Bahamas is vested in Her Majesty.
May I add something else?
Yeah, man, go on.
Basically, when you look at our Constitution, if I read, what's this? Jamaica's one.
Yeah.
Article 68, the executive authority of Jamaica is vested in Her Majesty.
Mm-hmm.
If you go to Barbados, the executive authority of Barbados is vested in Her Majesty. Basically, what you're looking at with these constitutions, it's almost like a franchisee agreement.
Yeah.
The head office, the headquarters gave all the colonies a franchisee agreement. It's the same thing. All of them have an Article 71 in it.
Right. Everybody got a colonial and go in their country.
Yeah, they're all local government.
Yeah.
I mean, listen, if you read that's what it say. That's why, we don't have majority rule. How could you have majority rule if you can't pass no law? I mean, and the sad part is nobody in our country for the last 48 years telling the people the truth. I mean, they're not. It's just read it. 48 years, we celebrating a fake independence. Come on, man.
Okay, I got a call on the line. Let's go to this call, and then I'm going to interrogate you with some questions. Caller, you're on the clock.
Hey, morning, Erin.
Hey, good morning, Dude. How you doing?
And how you doing?
Good.
All right. And good morning to Shelly Moss.
Hey, what's up,
Moss.
bro? How you doing?
Good friend. Freedom fighter.
Just tell the truth, man.
Shelly, let me ask you a question. If you were the prime minister and you took office in 2017, you have the people give you a mandate for 5 years. The people elect you. You ask, Shelly Moss asks everyone for a chance that he can make it better. He feels that his vision is better. But in the 5 years, you've been hit with crisis such as a hurricane or maybe, not maybe, but a COVID.
Oh.
But at the end of the day, Shelly decides to say, you know what? This bigger than your party or bigger than you. So you decide to say to yourself, you know what? Before this go any step further, let me call or bring it back to the people. So what do I call Shelly who talk and made all of that noise that he wanted to be there. But after his 4 years and something months, he decided to want to throw his hand in. What do I call you?
You talking about Chelly throw his hand in, or you talking about somebody else?
I'm just hypothetically
So
using it as an example, my brother.
A person that sort of steps in at the last minute to join in the political space?
No, Ms. Greene. But I'm using Shelley in this incident hypothetically as the prime minister who didn't complete his 5-year period. What do I call you, Mr.
Yeah,
Moore,
but you
as
can't say you didn't complete your 5 years, because the way our structure is, you could call the election at any time. Right? So it's not like we have a fixed election date from this time to that time, and you do it before, so you did it before. So technically, you can't say that. Correct?
Right.
Yes or no?
You say correct.
Yeah, it's a moot question.
Guess what, Mr. Moss? The reason why I ask you that, Mr. Moss, the simple fact, I can hang up right now, Erin, is because if you say the country was in such a dissemble or whatever you want to call it before you took office, right? Normally, you can call an election if you win it today, and you can call it next week. I understand that. I respect that. But what I am saying to you, you're saying in the opposition that the party is so bad, the leader of that party then is this and that.
Stop talking around and speak direct. Because you confuse me when you beat around. Speak direct.
Right,
Call
listen,
names. Speak direct.
I don't really like it. Okay, in other words, what do you think? What do you foresee Mr. Minnis doing right now, as far as carrying us forward? Because I spoke to someone last night in the gas station, and they're still waiting for this economical recovery plan.
Listen. If you asking me, but Prime Minister Minnis versus Brave Davis, listen to him. Listen, Brave Davis wasting Prime Minister Minnis. Okay, you ain't wasting him. I mean, forget about it. You're wasting time with him. And here's the problem with Brave Davis. Whether you agree with gaming or not,
but Shelley, you running from the point. I never mentioned Mr.
No,
Davis.
He's not running from the point.
You asked me a question.
Aaron, you know.
One second to it.
With the greatest respect to you, Aaron, you know what I don't understand with some Bahamian people?
But do it, you guys let him.
I don't understand. With the greatest respect, I just want to say one thing, is that Mr. Minnis, with the greatest respect to him, he is the prime minister. Mr. Davis is not the prime minister.
I got you. Okay, I got you critique to it.
Blame.
I got to cut you to it.
It's
all
not.
Right, Aaron, you have
it's
I
not
got
a
you
blame.
critique.
He asked me a question, and he was talking about Prime Minister's handling of it.
Yeah.
And he's basically saying he's not qualified, and he's basically saying Brave Davis could do a better job. I mean, that's basically what he said. Listen, my straight up take on it, Brave Davis is worse than Minnis. Not only that, whether you agree with gaming or not, the Bahamian people dipped their hand in ink and told Davis no, and he violated democracy. We should be done with him.
Right. What I got, that's like you looking at that story in today's right, but you're looking at the story in today's paper, and you're looking at Minnis as opposed to focusing on the substantive governance issues, using politics to deflect, right? And he's deflecting on the PLP. And what Shelley is saying, and what I can say to you is this: it's no difference between the two of them. The critique is that the political culture is the same. The two of them behave the same way. So don't come and say you can't be focusing on Brave as opposed to focusing.
But he's the alternative. And we used to say that before, you can't focus on Prime Minister Minnis. Listen here. Am I impressed with Prime Minister Minnis? No. I call him bungling, unproductive, maladroit, substandard, the acronym for bums. Okay?
Yeah.
Listen, we're talking about a prime minister who's a doctor who didn't even know a basic face mask could prevent COVID. You know, who actually told the Bahamian people not to wear face masks. That's what he did. Now, all of a sudden, the same guy is a genius on taking a complex vaccine. You know, he's telling Bahamian people, trust the science. And I'll bet for $1 million right now, if you ask him, what's the chemicals in the vaccine? He don't know. Listen, am I impressed with him? No, but I'll tell you this much. Brave Davis is waste. I sit with PLPs all the time, and I say, listen here, people talk about ride the wave. Tell me 3 things that Brave Davis has done so impressive that I should put my son's life in his hand. Tell me, oh, he's a good guy, he's nice, he'll give you something if you need it. That's it. I don't want no one to give me nothing. Go do your job, create an economy, and I'll go get mine. Not only that, the Bahamian people dipped their hand in ink and told Brave Davis no during the gaming referendum. We tell you no. You understand? And you violated democracy, you violated my rights, and you went and you overturned what the Bahamian people said. And let me tell Bahamian people something. You all could be stupid if you all want. If you allow somebody to overturn your vote, all right, you know what, your dog eat your lunch after that. So he could afford to go around, but, oh, I listen to the Bahamian people. I listen. Yeah, but he wasn't listening when I dip my hand in ink and I tell you no. If I tell my son, don't eat them potato chip, All right, don't eat them. He'll ask me 10 times, Daddy, could I have it? Daddy, could I have it? Because he know you don't do that. See, it's a line you don't cross. And we told him not to do it. Regardless of what you think about Prime Minister, the gray area, what do you call him? Competent authority.
Yeah.
He playing within the law. But we ain't said the hard line, don't do that. Right? We told Brave Davis, don't do that. And he went and he did it. So we should never reward him with a promotion for being prime minister in this country. Because you know why? You telling every other politician, you don't need to do what I say. Not only you don't need to do it, we're going to promote you. So and you joking.
Let me ask you a question. Do you think that the politicians that sit in the House and that have sat in the House over the last 48 years, right? Independence. Do you think they understand the Constitution that they are interpreting? Or do you think it's a matter of not really understanding and going along with the flow?
Of course they understand. Listen, you're a big grown man. You swearing your allegiance to somebody else. I swear my allegiance to so and so. You can't part. You think you don't understand? What it is
Now pause there, Shelley. At first I would say that, but I've seen some of the contributions from these people in the House, and it is possible that they do not understand.
No, they know. Listen. If you have to listen, first of all, we call it a democracy. It's not really a democracy. Listen, Bahamian people need to know that when you vote, you're voting for a local government. Here's why. If I vote for Erin, all right?
Yeah.
And Erin wins the seat, we vote for. If Erin does not swear her allegiance to Her Majesty, Erin's election is null and void. So we just vote for you, but if you don't swear to someone else, it's null and void. How do you get a democracy? How do you get democracy? Let's be real about it.
I mean, it don't sound like a democracy to me.
You know what I mean? So for 48 years, all right, we've had a fake independence, and we've had our leaders perpetuating what I call, all right, slavery 2.0, 3.0, infinity, colonial, Article 71, macro management, suppression on black people. Our leaders have not been telling us the truth. So every time I hear people talk about, this one was the framers of the Constitution. Frame over what Constitution? You were handed something, just like all the other colonies, and you went along with the program. And the people told you, you in charge, and you went, we're independent. Come on. Even when we talk about majority rule, in 1967 majority rule, what is majority rule? You had the local whites who made up the majority of parliament.
Yeah.
And then you had the black people who made up the majority, overtook the majority. But they were both local government because you had the white British premier.
Yeah.
None of them could make no decision. Mm-hmm. We get majority rule. None of y'all could pass no law in the House of Parliament. None. What majority rule you get? And this is why white people is think black people stupid, you know. You're reading it right there on the paper and say, we got majority rule. Listen, every year we go on Fort Charlotte with fireworks, we independent. Then people saying they some stupid black people, none of y'all could read this?
Well, after this 48th independence celebration, I really did get the impression that somebody knew that it ain't about us, and we ain't really in control.
Listen, they've sold us out for their 30 pieces of damehood and knighthood silver.
Now that's a big, that's a big claim to make. So let me ask you this question, right? Do you think, now when I say that, here's what I mean. When the position is clear, the language is clear, the language in the Constitution is clear, right? What I want to know is this an active, conscious participation in a conspiracy, or is it a bunch of people who are easily overwhelmed by the political culture and get themselves caught in a space that even when they do discover or realize what is happening in front of them, they don't have the capacity or the ability or the willingness to remove themselves from it or to expose it, right? Mm-hmm. I don't know.
But let me tell you what I think.
Who these people are.
I think, well, first of all, what's done is done. You know, and I'm not here to bash nobody or whatever. Listen, we can't move forward unless we acknowledge what the truth is.
Right.
You know, that's it. Listen, we have a whole nation to build. We're almost 50 years old. We can't keep living a lie. You know, own your truth. It is what it is, right? So, you know, the next generation of kids coming up, you know, you can't make them think it's A when it's B. Tell the children the truth. So,
but you can't just stop there.
You know, no.
Because, I mean, this is a big thing.
No, it is. But what I'm addressing your question. I'm saying for the older, our parents, all right, they may have wanted to change it, but, you know, the problem is, like, you know, if you start, for lack of a better word, not telling the truth, right?
Yeah.
You know, and 48 years later, I want to tell Erin the truth, but now it ain't even so much that I didn't tell her the truth. Then now Erin can say, geez, dog, you lied to me 48 years?
And let me use an example if I can, and maybe this may not be the correct example, but it's like the child, and you lie to them about who their father is. You don't tell them who their father is. You tell them it's somebody else. And now they're a big adult.
But it could be anything. It could be anything. The point is, I had trust in you, Erin.
Yeah.
And Erin deceived me for 48 years. I could have forgiven you for that. I mean, I could still forgive you, but I still got to think, man, it's like you tricked me for 48 years.
Yeah.
You tell me independence, and
but see,
you had me going up on 4 child all them years.
That's the reason why
this is about I growing up in the Bahamas, right? And on July 9th at 11:59, the Union Jack came down and the Bahamian flag went up and we became an independent country. You mean all that was a joke?
And it's right. That's why I used the example of the child and the unknown father, right? Because of the potential psychological break from exposing that information. But imagine that the psyche of this nation, right? This nation is constructed by people whose identities are rooted in that moment.
Oh, absolutely. Not only that, second and third generation deep.
Yeah.
But again, see, facts is facts. The PLP have a slogan, no lie should last forever. I mean, think about it. Every year, them PLP go up on them stage, and we ushered in independence, and we ushered in majority rule. A foundation of their party is we ushered in independence. We ushered in majority rule.
That's their political identity.
Don't cap.
They can't change it. They can't reimagine themselves.
Here's my concern. Again, what's done is done.
Yeah.
I'm mad at nobody. God bless you. But it's time to move forward and build the Bahamas. My concern is the new politicians coming up who being the college smart. You mean if little dumb Chelly Moss could read? You mean none of y'all could read this? You mean all of y'all just willing to go along to get along? I mean, even when you look at the PLP, think about it. You got a guy like Chester Cooper. I remember when the PLP lost the election. Minky Isaac said something seemingly racist, and he distanced himself from Minky Isaac. You remember that?
Yeah.
All right? But buddy, Brave Davis, the Bahamian people dipped their hand in ink and told Brave Davis no. And he violated democracy and the voting instructions of the Bahamian. He didn't distance himself from Brave Davis. He embraced him. See, that's my concern. Forget the old people. It's the next generation and the pool of next people coming up that I'm concerned about. All of these new candidates, you mean none of y'all get a problem with that?
Now, look,
and you want me to trust you?
Now, Chelly,
you talk about prime minister, the competent authority. He more of a dictator than him.
Look here, I get 75 questions for you, but we got a caller on the line. Caller, you're on the clock.
Yes, hello.
Good morning.
Morning, Erin.
How are you?
I just want to say one thing about this whole. I don't agree that we don't have independence. We do have independence. That's my opinion.
Okay.
And this caller calling in, but all this Brave Davis didn't do from day what he did not do. Probably that's something of the past, and then we got to move on with the lawyers he made under his name. That firm was just not built on him, It's built on younger lawyers. And then the motivation from that for the young people, they want to become Prime Minister Finland still. So where we going with this foolishness about no independence for us, and then what we can do with our F average if we don't have the motivation to become that person? You see my point?
Well, I think I see what you're saying, but maybe we have an F average because young people, even if they can't articulate it clearly, understand that there's a falsehood being perpetuated. Maybe they understand that these illusions that they're being forced to acknowledge as real are tenuous and not real, and they opt out. I think. Okay, go on.
Go on. You go on.
Well, so let me ask you this. You
first.
say you don't believe that we're not independent. If the word independent is defined as free from outside control or authority, and if within your constitution it says someone else has the power.
And in a child's mind, that's what they want to become. Independent on their own.
So listen to the question.
And paying their own bills like I did.
So listen to the question. Listen to the question, sir.
They were our parents. These motivators were our parents. So you can't say there is no independence for us. You see my point, right?
No, sir, because the word, see, regardless of how you feel, the word
see my
independent,
point.
listen, the word independent is defined as free from outside control or authority.
Yes,
So if
authority.
within, yes, so
And that is just a democracy. That's just what it is.
No, but if within your constitution it says someone else have all the power, how are you free from outside control or authority?
Why change that constitution
All right,
to
then.
bring
Well, so, but that's a different story, sir.
F average.
So that's a different story.
D average, okay?
But-
he brought it back.
and I see why we get D
people saying
average.
He didn't do nothing, and then that minister did for education, and then what about us in South Beach who ain't get no fiber cable, nothing, no house roofs are still damaged, and then I done report that from the first pandemic, and that was a storm. Then you talk about pandemic. I didn't have an operation from last year. April. Nobody called me.
Caller, I gotta cut you. I gotta cut you. I don't understand where the disagreement comes in, because the state of affairs you explained just now suggested to me that you understand you're not in an independent nation. But we leave that there.
Again, it's irrelevant what you feel. The word has a definition.
Yeah.
All right? And either you're compliant with the definition or you're not.
And not just that, look at the Constitution itself and read the words and take them for the plain value, the face value, right? It says, the executive authority is vested in Her Majesty. Subject to the provisions of this Constitution, the executive authority may be exercised on behalf of Her Majesty by the Governor General, either directly or through officers subordinate to him.
And if everybody's subordinate to him, that means everybody's subordinate to her.
Right. I mean, if you read the clear language of it.
It's simple. Listen, again, it's irrelevant how you feel. We're going strictly on definitions.
Now,
the definition of independence, free from outside control or authority. So if within your constitution say somebody else have all the law, all the power and could pass a law and you can't, how you get free from outside control or authority, buddy?
Absolutely.
That's why all our parliament, you're voting for local government. It's a glorified form of local government, and it makes sense. If you run a multinational global company, all right, you have the locals take care of day-to-day operations. Anything above a certain point got to go to headquarters to the boss.
All right. Let's get to these texts, Shelley. Morning. Tell the caller we don't elect any prime ministers. We elect members of parliament. We are not independent. We are self-governance, according to Sir Lyndon. How you feel about that?
Well, self-governance means local government.
You
can call it whatever you want. A dozen, half dozen. The bottom line is you don't call no shots. You got a boss.
All right, I got a text here that says, my guest only came to talk bad about Mr. Davis. They say you too arrogant. Texter.
I don't lie on people, though. Listen, I said to people, tell me 3 things he's done. Listen, the bottom line, it's a fact. The Bahamian people voted no for gaming. And Brave Davis violated the voting instructions for Bahamians. Now, either Bahamians want leaders who can listen to them. So when I say do A, or you don't. Now, if you don't want that, and this guy is showing you what's to come from him, he's going to violate your instructions, and the other people are going to follow.
Jelly,
you have to set the precedent. Right. That's not tolerated.
I have a feeling that we're not prepared for that type of leader, and that's why I was getting to that question, like where do we go from here? But I like that you pointed out to me that you're talking to young. And you're concerned about younger Bahamian politicians, right?
Listen, it's all about the next generation. What concerns me is that none of the young politicians in the PLP even have any integrity to say, I can't side with this man. The same way Chester Cooper distanced himself from Minky Isaac for racist comments, Brave Davis violated democracy. You don't think that important?
Absolutely.
We vote and tell the guy no, and he straight up say, go and overturn it. You don't think that's important? At least Prime Minister playing within the gray area of the law. This dude just straight up blunt, I ain't doing it. Guys, that's the first step to dictatorship, when people overrule your voting instructions. See, regardless of whether you agree with me or not, I'm the boss. I gave you instructions, and if you're in doubt, come back for new instructions.
All right.
That's how this game go.
Caller, you've been on the line holding for a little while. You got 30 seconds. You're on the clock.
This Dark Univoice.
Good morning, Bremen. How you doing? I got 30 seconds for you.
What I want to say, right? We are not independent. And if anybody thinks we are independent, when those people go in the House of Assembly, when they make laws speaking of the successors as the Queen of the Queen and her successes, that shows you all the only thing happened is the flag was taken down.
Yeah.
But the crown's still there.
Thank you, Brayman.
People got to get that understanding. We got the system. The only thing changed is
the flag.
The system.
I got you. Thank you, Brayman.
System.
Thank you, Brayman. Caller, you're on the clock. 30 seconds.
Yes, I only call the little gentleman whether he likes it or not. Brave Davis is going to be his prime minister. Okay? Thanks for letting me share.
Absolutely. Wow. You guys are really far more concerned with Brave Davis than the integrity and the understanding of your Constitution. But
not only that, the voting instructions of Bahamians going to be followed.
Yeah.
Listen, if, again, guys, certain things are deal breakers. If the Bahamian people vote and tell you no, you don't change that. And if we allow a guy to overturn that and even worse, reward him, dog, eat your lunch. See, when you play with puppy, your mouth is get licked. You expect the other politicians to listen to you? And you say, oh, we want politicians going to listen to us. Yeah, but your actions don't support that. You're rewarding a guy. Brave Davis ain't supposed to show his face around here, much less talk about want to be prime minister. We gave you voting instructions and you violated that, but we ain't playing with you. Out of here.
And when he says Brave Davis in this instance, I think of the entire PLP administration that was responsible for the operation of that exercise under the leadership of, right? That's what he's saying. He's not attacking Brave Davis. He's
no, I deal with him too. No,
yeah, but
listen, but he's supposed to be mad. Listen, if the whole system going along with it, he's supposed to be Mr. Prime Minister. The whole Bahamas vote no. I can't support this. If you're in for a penny, you're in for a pound. And even now, the new candidates, they're embracing him. Oh, he's the best thing since sliced bread. How?
I understand what you're saying. Let's get to these texts. Morning, Miss Greene. Mr. Moss can't get a seat at the table. That's the best of him. He stays on talk shows trying to bring Brave Davis down, Ms. Greene. I don't support DeWitt's point, but as a strong supporter of this F&M government, I am so ashamed. I'm sure they will not get my 6 votes in my house. The F&M need to honestly go. Boy, you speaking for other people in your house. It's a bit like you know about dictatorship. We have a... Okay, person is referring to one of the callers. We are not free, sir. I'm not going to call that caller that texter. Another text, y'all better don't let Lang hear y'all say we ain't independent. Great show as usual. Thank you. The PM said people who are vaccinated are out of the pandemic. I think that statement was socially irresponsible. And I think it's factually incorrect because if vaccinated people can still contract and pass on the virus, then they are still a risk to unvaccinated people. So we're still all in this thing together. Another text, let's stop calling Pinling those the founding fathers. Let's stop lying that they wrote the carbon copy constitution. But why stop there? Moss talking about dealing with truth. The truth is that we are African and not Bahamian. When will we stop that lie, Mr. Moss? We can't even define what a Bahamian is or a Bahamian culture. My Bahamian history is slave history. My African history is kingdom history. Let's end ethnic divide given by the slave master. I think it's important to point out that African is ancestry, right? African is ancestry. Bahamian is nationality. That's a political construct, and those are 2 different things. Another text, Shelley Moss makes a lot of sense. Some people don't like to hear the hardcore truth. Another text, morning, I've been saying what y'all talking about. I even wrote a song about it. It is laughable when I hear them say A.D. Hanados wrote the Constitution. Who comes to a revolution without their own Constitution in hand?
You mean they're right to give someone else all the power and can't pass no law in their own country? And swear their allegiance to them and their children? That's what they write? My God.
Look here, but rather wait until after they gain power to write it. Also, why would the so-called forefathers leave the Privy Council and Queen head of the country? That shows how stupid this thing is. How long Moss been talking this independence? For a minute now. Mr. Moss, are you still with the DNA? And if not, why? Mr. Moss ain't been with the DNA for what, 2 election seasons now? They don't watch nothing? I get you, Texter. The fact that we are not independent is a madness. When was the last time we asked, sequestered permission from the Queen to do anything? We formulate, craft, and implement our own laws. We are also self-governing. this verbal exercise y'all carrying on with is foolishness. Mr. Moss, what you say to that?
Listen, again, Bahamians don't want to know the truth. Listen, before they used to say if you want to hide something from a black person, just put it in the book. Now you can put it in the book and they read it and they say, no, they don't mean that. Listen, Article 71 says someone else have all the power. I don't know about it you don't understand. You understand? Not only that, we formulate laws. Yeah, because you know what? You're local government. That's what you do in your area. But in order for it to be passed, you got to send it to the boss. What you do in Parliament, you make suggestions, you make recommendations called bills, and then you send it to the owner for approval. Not only that, when you read the Constitution, right? You know, we ran here, but, we could kick the Queen out and we could get rid of it at any time. That ain't what this piece of paper say. That ain't what this piece of paper say, all right? This piece of paper say if you want to alter the Constitution, all right, a bill to alter the Constitution, first of all, it's a bill, all right? It has 3 components. It has to go through. And then you have to submit it to Her Majesty,
and she has to
the Governor
agree.
General. So you can't remove her. She could remove herself. What you're doing is you asking her to remove herself. See, you got to say it right.
Yeah.
Or we could kick in a royal behind anytime we want. That ain't what this piece of paper say. In Article 63.4 say, when the bill is presented to the Governor General for assent, he shall signify that he assents or that he withhold assent. So the Constitution even itself say she could say no.
Yeah.
Listen, y'all need to wake up.
I got you. I got to read this one text here. Miss Greene, I agree with Mr. Moss. Brave Davis don't believe in democracy. He told his own PLP party no convention, and no one is to contest none of his people he have now. Listen, a point on that. This is a constant critique that I make. All you got to do is look at the party constitutions and how the parties operate to get a sense of what they are prepared to bring to the national table.
Erin, the reality is this, right? And, you know, I don't like to call people useless, right? All of the candidates are useless. You know why? Listen, politics today has been dumbed down. When you look at these new sets of candidates, right? You know what it's come down to? Who could clean up a park? Who could move an old car? Who could give out a care package? That's what you're impressing me with? Oh, I cleaned up the park. Oh, I moved the ditch. That's what you're impressing me with? You understand? A whole Article 71 saying someone else get the power of our country. You mean you ain't got no problem with that? You mean you ain't, but you could clean up a park? Look at my little 10, 11-year-old son. Miles, you could clean up a park? Yeah. Miles could clean. You want beef for a park? You wasting me.
But, Jelly, this is why I constantly ask the question and ask Bahamians to ask political candidates the question, how are you going to balance your obligation, right, to Constitution, to what that say, to the people, to your constituents, right, to your party, to the House of Assembly, and all those constitutions.
But they can't, because in order to get a nomination, you got to kiss butt and you got to go along to get that nomination. They realize they're nothing without that yellow or red attached to them. I mean, think about it. I don't want to say they're nothing, but what's your claim to fame? What you bring to the table? Listen here. One of my concerns right now is like, you look at Prince George Wharf, all right? They basically hostage our number one industry. We got 3 million cruise ship coming in, and they can basically stay right there by Prince George Wharf. They buy Paradise Island, put a little cocoa key there. No tourists coming over on the main line. So only thing is going to piss Bahamians off more, we ain't seen no boats out there because of COVID. You're going to go out there, you can see the place full of boats, and you hear all that noise coming from back there. And no tourists here for us to make a local dollar. You think that's important? What's your position on that? I don't want to hear how much you could clean up a park. You don't need to go to Parliament to clean up no park, to move no old car, to have no little basketball. You don't need that. The people are killing our number one industry. What's your position on that?
So, Jelly, we can't stop here. You can't do this to people. You can't reveal something so powerful to them and then leave them to themselves to figure it out. How do we help people move forward with this information? Well, now, can I invite you back to have that part of the conversation?
Yeah, but listen, you could only take a horse to water. You can't make him drip. If the people reading where it say you don't have no power and they don't care, it ain't nothing you could do.
Now, I gotta stop you there.
Some people okay with being the side chick. That's it. Just own the side chick.
No. I gotta stop you there. There's plenty we could do, because as long as we have breath and as long as we have vision, we have the way forward.
I only could tell you that's all I do, and that's all I can do.
That's all right.
You got to be what you want to be. I okay with people being what they want to be.
That's okay. You give me the idea, and I'm gonna take it forward. You don't watch nothing. Thank you for tuning into this hot and lively discussion today. Yeah, we at the end of the show. Yeah, man, that's good drama. Lots of information. Good challenges to people's perceptions of their reality.
Well, I want to leave you with Harriet Tubman. Harriet Tubman said, I could have freed some thousands more if only they knew they were slaves.
Absolutely.
You understand? Us right now, like being in Fox Hill Prison, guy in maximum security for 20 years, and then he go over and face defendant, and he in a dorm, and he think he free. Come on, guys, let's get with it. We got a whole Bahamas to move forward, but first things fake independence, fake majority rule got to stop.
Absolutely. Thank you very much, Mr. Chelly Moss, and to young Master Miles in studio. Another inspiration to the Bahamas. Hopefully, Mr. Moss will join me again for the conversation about the way forward for a new and independent Bahamas. It is 11 o'clock. That means Mr. Levan Miller is up next. Thanks for joining me on the Clock today. Have a great day, Bahamas, and more importantly, stay tuned to 96.9 FM.
This is Guardian Radio, 96.9 FM, Nassau, Bahamas.